Welcome to OState Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Fans, today we have a very, very, very special guest. I've been watching this young man play football for a long, long time, dating back to his days at John Marshall. One Mr. Sean Love, who has roots in Guthrie, by the way, so I know all about him because he's been running up and down the streets here at the Gut Rock his whole life. So, hey, Sean Love, how the heck are you, my man?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Yeah, let's take you back to those John Marshall days, man. Okay. Some incredible athletes, Tony Hurd, Justin Matthews, you, obviously Willie Grissom, Tommy Griffin's the basketball coach. I mean, gosh almighty.
Man, yeah, those days were wonderful. Built a lot of friendships, a lot of camaraderie, and a lot of fun. We had some ups and downs, but more ups than downs. And we had some, championship coaches from football, basketball, baseball, track. I mean, you name it. John Marshall was a hotbed of some athletes coming out of there. Yeah. So.
Sure was. And it was, again, when the Rashawn Woods came back and coached them to a state championship a couple of years ago. And you actually, your son was on that team, and you got to help a little bit with that, didn't you?
Yeah, I was on staff as well.
Yeah,
on staff, and my son didn't win. It was 2 years after my son graduated. Okay. But he did play under Coach Woods for a few years before he graduated. But then 2 years after that, in 2017, we grabbed the state title, and man, we had an all-star coaching cast.
Good.
We had Rashawn Woods, head coach. Donovan Woods was defensive coordinator. We had Billy Badgema, who was coaching with us. Man, who else?
You had all the OU killers, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, we had Derek Locke, who was myself. We had Derek Locke, who played for Kentucky. He was our running backs coach. Our old line coach was Jeremy Palmore. He was from OState, and we had a full. Gary Woods, the older brother of the Woods brothers. So we had
the best fisherman of the three, by the way.
That's I don't know. Let
you don't know, huh?
I don't know. Let them tell it. Yeah.
And Rashawn Woods is still open, right?
He's still open right now. I just throw it up in there. I'll just see him go grab it somewhere.
And we could go play tomorrow, and they'd still never cover Billy Badger going right down the middle.
Man, it's all the way open.
And then also, no matter how many times I watched it, which is like 8,000 times. That foot was still in bounds, Sean. Oh, yeah, you still were in bounds.
I was in bounds. I forgot what end zone was. Was the south end zone?
The south and the west.
Yeah. So as soon as I came down with that ball, I looked down at my feet to make sure, and I looked up at the ref. He looked at me, and touchdown. So it was a good deal, man.
Yeah. Who was covering you? Do you remember?
Mike Woods.
Oh, really? From Del City?
From Del City. The Del City, man, he was a dude, man. He was a dude.
Oh, that made it even better, didn't it?
Mike Woods. Yep. He hates it when I post it every year.
So does he comment on it?
Oh, yeah. He'll say I pushed off. He says I pushed off every time, but hey, the ref didn't call it. It's touchdown,
So you live rent-free in his head then, huh?
All time.
Fantastic. Hey, I wanted to go back a little bit. Of course, we know all about Tommy Griffin, his brothers Taylor and Blake, who...
His sons, yes.
Yeah, your sons, yeah. Should have went to Oklahoma State, by the way. I'm still pissed about that, if you can't tell. Yeah, right. Okay, so he was awesome. But, hey, Clyde Ellis.
Yes.
Clyde Ellis was an absolutely awesome football coach. Very intimidating figure. So talk about him, what he was like for you.
Well, he had a great selection of words, whether it was good or bad. He was able to articulate it the best way he knew how, and very intimidating. He was structured. Well, I wouldn't say structured. Some of the assistant coaches were more structured, but Coach Ellis, he knew what he wanted, and he just laid down the law, and we followed the law. Other than that, he was a championship coach in track too. Winning 18 to 20, 18 in a row state championships in track. So he had that mentality of just win. And, coming there and just being coached by him it was a great thing. And all the assistant coaches were great. But being under him, it was a great thing. Good and fun. And some of the hilarious things that he said to other players. And it was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny.
you mentioned Mike Woods. You caught that in front of him at OU.
Mm-hmm.
So that senior year, of course, you got to play in the Oil Bowl. You and Willie both did.
Yes.
Which was really cool because the Oil Bowl was really a big deal back then.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really cool game out there in Woodward. But just think about all the guys that came out in the 94-95 year.
Okay.
94 football season, 95 would be the year you graduated, right?
Correct.
Okay, so Damon Parker, Kelly Gregg, I mean, Brandon Daniels, who we beat that day in 1997. And Norman. I'm sure you have bragging rights over him, too. Talk about all these awesome dudes that came out that year.
I mean, it was, we were loaded with talent, man. I mean, you could have gone anywhere across the nation. I mean, Jermaine Bordeaux, you have Tabor LeBlanc came out, and Billy Stone, and we just, I mean, of course, R.W. McQuarters, but who played with OU. You also had Jason Freeman, who came out of Muskogee. His son plays for OState right now. Gavin Freeman. And there was also Benny Butler for a short stint. And man, there was some guys. There were some guys there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So rumor has it is you want to go to Colorado.
I did. Coming out of high school, one of the assistant coaches, along with Coach Simmons, while he was at Colorado, they were recruiting me. They would come to the school every so often, and they would come get me out of class and talk to me and whatever, watch tape and watch film or whatever. But my original commit, I wanted to go play for the Black and Gold. I mean, with Cordell Stewart and Bieniemy and Rashawn Salam and Phil Savoy, all those, Ray Caruth. But I just wanted to go play with those guys. And then, as soon as Coach Simmons came to Oklahoma State as the head coach, he began to recruit me from there. So again, told me the same thing. I can come in and play, come in and start, make a difference, build a program. He and I want to say, I think it was Tim Reynolds, who was the running backs coach at the moment, and came to the house and
came from Chickasha.
Yes. Very, very great coach. I know he's a great high school coach as well. But they came to the house and met my mom and my brother and, talked me down. And so when me and Willie and I went on the same recruiting trip, and along with all the other guys that he recruited, we just said, hey man, let's do this. So, so we committed.
So that 97 game, which was homecoming, the one that Alonzo Mays caught the pass from Tony Lindsay, that had to be a really cool experience for you, right?
Oh yeah, that was great. I was on the front page of the sports page the next day. I was holding an orange in my hand. No, I was holding my guns up, and people around me holding the oranges. We were hoping to go to the Orange Bowl that year, but it didn't quite. We didn't quite make it, but that was a great game. I did the Lambeau Leap, and it wasn't Boone Pickens Stadium, but it was Lewis Field. So did that game make you realize you made the right choice with OSU instead of Colorado? Yes and no. But I wouldn't. I don't have any regrets. I met my wife and had my son, and got married. So I don't have any regrets on that part. But playing with the Cowboys, no regrets on that as well. But it was it happened, and I'm here, and the rest is history.
Yeah, absolutely. Take us through the recruiting process, the coaches you remember coming and all that, and how all that worked for you.
Well, a lot of coaches did. I know OU, Tulsa, of course, Oklahoma State, when Pat Jones was recruiting me initially. But when OU, during that time, OU's head coach was Howard Schnellenberger. And so, I didn't really quite like the vibe he was giving, and there was a few things Thank
you, Billy Stone. Thank you, R.W. McQuarters. Thank you, Sean Love.
Absolutely. So, I was pretty much recruited by I think it was Big 8 right before we became Big 12, and Iowa State, Nebraska, Texas, A&M, all the Texas schools, Baylor, Iowa and Iowa State recruited me. I mean, it was just a lot of. I've had some interest with from Florida State and UCLA, but they only sent letters, but they never really actively recruited me. So didn't feel the love there. I would have loved to go to Miami or Florida, but Florida State or whatever. But it didn't happen. But so that was I didn't really have a favorite college that I wanted to play at besides Colorado, and initially if it wasn't Colorado, it was going to be OU, but things happened, and this is where we are.
Yeah. So for a guy that wasn't always just sold on coming to Oklahoma State, what is it about OSU that it has to sell somebody, a kid maybe that's in your same position now?
Right now, I mean, the state of the art facilities right now at this point in time. I think it rivals any program in the country with the state of the art facilities for the athletes, for all athletes at Oklahoma State. I mean, if you go through the study table, the tutoring program, the computer labs, and then coming to the football facilities, you got all the equipment you need, shoes, socks, gloves, different uniform sets. I mean, it's a kid's dream to play in an environment like that. So, and of course, you can't forget the fans. I mean, you got the paddle. I don't know what you call them, the paddle gang.
Paddle people, yeah.
Yeah, the paddle people, yeah. I mean, you got that on the side, and you have everybody chanting your name and go, pokes and man, it's just an awesome feeling for, I think, any kid that's in that environment. They can see, and it'll probably give you goosebumps now.
Okay, so Willie Grissom, you and him, both John Marshall, both went to Oklahoma State, both played in the Oil Bowl, both like brothers. I know you guys still to this day have a great relationship.
Oh yeah, me and Willie kind of grew up together. So in the 5th grade, from after I moved from Guthrie, you mentioned.
Unfortunately, by the way,
yeah. I had a lot of cousins that I beat up on the field, and when we played Guthrie. But moving to Oklahoma City, that's where I met Willie, and we played on the same 5th grade football team. We went undefeated. We beat every kid. We beat all the kids and beat all the teams, and there wasn't too many times we lost any games. And so myself and Willie and several other kids that are very athletic, we went from 5th grade all up to junior high to high school to college to the pros. We played some arena ball together. We played with the Yard Dogs. I don't know if you remember the Yard Dogs, the first time we had them here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We played there. And so when I played with the only time we did not play together was when I played with the Tulsa Talons and he played with the Wichita Stealth.
Oh, nice.
And that was maybe 1 or 2 years. But other than that, we've always played together. So it literally, when you heard my name, you heard his name. When you heard his name, you heard my name. Willie and Sean and Willie. So that's how it was. And John Marshall, every weekend you would see our names in the paper. If we won or lost, it was Sean and Willie or Willie and Sean.
Yeah. What year were you born?
1976.
Okay, so when you went to Oklahoma State your first year and beat OU in Norman that year, Eric Moore, the quarterback, Oklahoma State had not beaten OU since the year you were born, Sean. Golly,
man.
Talk about what do you remember about that win?
So actually, I heard that it was the first time they were shut out since World War II or something like that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, wow. Nice. It was. I think that was a funny stat or a weird stat, but
yeah.
And I don't know, if we went back that far, but that's what I heard. But I think that first game is when I actually knew that this was the right decision to go to Oklahoma State, and with the pedigree of athletes that we had, and to keep beating them year after year, all except one. It was great, and that first game was phenomenal. Being in their stadium, it was still electric. It was still a great atmosphere because you had a sea full of red on one side. Well, basically almost the whole stadium. Yeah. But, looking at different pictures, I could see sprinkles of orange in the crowd. And it was just, it was amazing. First college game. I'm a freshman and I'm, playing in that type of game. And for us to build that historic, that legacy, that 4-year legacy was phenomenal for me. And I'm sure with my teammates as well. Yeah. So yeah.
So you're living in Oklahoma City, right?
Edmond, Oklahoma. Yeah.
Same difference nowadays.
Yeah. Oklahoma City is right across the street. Yeah. So.
And you came through Oklahoma State at a time where you beat OU 3 out of 4 times.
Yes, sir.
That's got to be really cool living in Edmond, Oklahoma with those bragging rights.
Oh, absolutely. Anybody that has on OU or the Sooner shirts or whatever, or they yell Boomer, in my ear. I'm like, no, I got some bragging rights,
Yeah.
and that's what I talk about with my athletes and parents. They want to talk noise, or teammates that former teammates or past friends. It's 3 out of 4, man. Every year on Facebook, it's 3 out of 4. I had a better winning percentage than Gundy beating OU. So
Yeah.
So
So 97, Brandon Daniels, the OU's going to bring back the wishbone, right?
Yeah.
Brandon Daniels graduated from Ada the same year that you came out, so I'm sure you were very familiar with him. I got to know all about the smack talk before that game started, and tell us what you remember about that game.
You know what? It wasn't really a lot because the social media is not like it is now. We can't tweet and can't DM each other. We just had just regular phones and but we knew each other when we saw each other out and about in different capacities. We talk noise, but it was always friendly. You got Corey Ivy. He and I talk a little bit, and but he was a dude out of Moore High School and played in the league a long time. And after he graduated, so won him a couple of Super Bowls, but the trash talk was there. But at the end of the day, we were always homies. We were always friends, and never none of that, any of that terrible talk where I'm going to hurt you and none of that stuff. So
yeah. So in 95, your first year, you got to see T-Rich get that big catch down to the 1, right? Yeah. Every time I watch that, it's like, oh, get in the end zone, man.
Yeah. I've got to be an athlete, man.
So that had to be really cool because he's your good buddy. Yeah. And then it kind of came full circle for you there in 97 when you had your catch in that same end zone. Yeah. So that had to be really cool. Take us through, what was the play call? What do you remember about the play? Take us through all that. You probably don't remember that.
I don't remember the play call, but I knew it was a fade from where we were, about 20, 30 yards, maybe 25 yards out. I just knew I had to get on his toes and beat him to a spot and just be an athlete when the ball's in the air. I can't recall what the play was called, the entire play, but I knew when I got that release, I knew when I beat Mike off the line, I just knew that the ball was coming to me, so I was ready to make a play.
Yeah.
Ready to make a play.
So you had T-Rich, you had Alonzo, you had Garrett Steggs, and eventually you had Marcellus Rivers.
We had
you had all of the. You had Ethan. I can't remember which one was the receiver and which one was the defensive.
Ethan was the receiver. Yeah.
He caught that tip pass in Texas. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. But Ethan and Evan, they were there my junior senior year, I believe, and they finished off doing well.
So I got to ask you, okay. Both of them, the two fastest human beings I've ever seen in my life, right? Including Tatum Bell, Terry Miller, Chuba Hubbard, right?
What?
Who's faster, Ethan or Evan?
Well, I'm gonna go with the offensive side. I'm gonna say Ethan.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go with my boy Ethan. But because I went against Evan in practice and stuff, and I'd get him a couple of times. He'd get me as well. But but the fastest Cowboy that I've seen in person that I played with was G2 Criddle. I don't know.
Oh, really?
G2 Criddle, man. He ran. I think he ran a 4.3. So, he was fast.
How fast was RW?
RW was a smooth runner, man. He was fast. Deceptively fast. When he got in open field, it was just the stride was so long, and he would just separate. He was very quick, very elusive. The fast twitch muscles were just, boom. They were going. But he was pretty fast. He's pretty fast.
So you had to go against RW. You had to go against Kevin Williams, K-Dub, who played in the NFL for the Jets for a long time. Maurice Simpson, who was a fantastic defensive back. You mentioned Evan Howe. That team had some defensive players on it, man.
We did, man. Trent Alexander. You had, Trent Fisher when I got there. But then you also had Ricky Thompson in the back as a safety. Man, we had some dudes. We had a lot of kids. Ricky, I think he went to the Cardinals for a little bit. Like you said, Kevin went to the Jets, and of course, RW got drafted first round to the 49ers, I believe. And we had some cats out there. We had some guys. So practice was a full blown knocked down, dragged out. We talk noise. That's when we talk noise.
Oh yeah.
We had some noise talking, and then after practice was over, hey, what's up, man? Let's go get some food, man. But we had some incredible athletes back there, and it was. And I heard Terrence Richardson's interview, and like he mentioned, iron sharp as iron. And that's what made us better each year. That's what sharpened us to be great and better route runners and facing better competition. And so, it was all good, man. It's all good.
So I kind of said this whole long thing to say you had all these great tight ends. You had Willie, you had T. Rich, you had Evan Howell, you had all these great players. And then you had kind of an offensive scheme that wasn't totally suited for receivers, right? You had great running backs with David Thompson and Andre Richardson.
Yes.
And then you had a quarterback that ran the ball too. Yes. So what was it like trying to stay ready?
It just came down to practice, man. And just know the plays that we're running and know if we can get the ball. But like T. Rich said, Alonzo Mays was the first couple of reads in every play. And if RW was in, of course, he was one of the reads. So, but we were able to make a lot of plays and some crucial plays every now and then. And but we had a solid foundation, a solid legacy at the receiver position. Playing all 4 years, and of course being voted as a senior captain. That was one of my proudest moments as a Cowboy is. The team selected us as senior captains, myself, Trent Alexander, big Jeremy Offit, and I want to say Camacho was, but
David,
big Camacho, So, it was a humbling experience to be voted a team captain by your teammates, but again, just such a blessing and fun, so much fun to play with those guys during those 4 years.
So. Trent ever get you on a horse?
He didn't. No, man. Okay. No, I didn't know how to ride a horse until I got to John Talley's ranch, and so I learned how to ride a horse there. But
Saul was on those teams, wasn't he?
Saul was. Yes.
Yeah. He's a deep snapper.
Yeah. He but Trent Alexander, he's a wild boy. Him and Adam Edwards, they some running buddies. But I think
Trent brought out Bullet one day.
He did.
Yeah.
I remember that day. He ran out with the flag and As I said, and I was telling somebody else the other day that it's never been done. It's never been done anymore after that. And so, to my knowledge, so
nice.
But he's the only Cowboy to ever do it.
Yeah. So backing you up to the play that you scored in front of Mike Woods to beat OU in '97, because I could talk literally all day about beating OU at anything.
Yes, sir.
Right. So whenever you heard the play call, did you know it was coming your way?
I knew it was a good possibility. I don't think Alonzo was even in on that play, but I knew it would come to me. I knew I was the first read on the play, and when I got that release, I knew the ball was coming to me. So, but I just know I had to make a play.
So does that raise your energy level? I mean, is it an adrenaline rush? Does it make you nervous? How does that, knowing it's a huge, or are you just in the moment? You don't think like that?
I'm in the moment. I played long enough to not be as nervous as I was as a freshman.
Yeah.
And so, as a freshman, it was different. But
you got indoctrinated as a freshman your first game, by the way.
Man, we'll talk about that later. But so when I knew the play, there's a high possibility it was going to come to me. I, got my best release, got up the field, leaned them inside, and just whenever the ball was in there, I just made the play the best I could. Yeah.
Any brotherly smack talk with Willie Grissom as far as who had more catches?
Oh no, me and Willie never talk trash to each other. Yeah. we were always. I mean, even in high school, little league. I mean, we always got a fair amount of. I mean, in my junior year, I was the leading receiver. His senior year, he was the leading receiver. So, as far as stats goes, and so as long as we were winning or competing to win, that's all that mattered to me. And it's same thing when we get to college. We're both playing as freshmen and we're roommates, myself, Willie Grissom and Terrence Richardson. He was one of our suite mates. And so, those guys were in my wedding too. So T. Rich was one of my groomsmen. Willie was, and Bordeaux. And nice. Those are long lasting bonds. Yeah. But I don't recall a time that we've ever talked noise to each other as far as competing against who has more, who has this and who has that. It was always, let's win. Good job. Good job. Good catch. Let's do it again. So that's how it always was with us.
Yeah. Can you confirm the rumor that T. Rich was the best dressed player on the team?
In my class, probably so. In my class, probably so. He always wore the glasses and I don't know, designer glasses. I don't know if they were Gucci. I don't know, whatever. But, he'd always have some type of vest on every now and then. But we just, it's in the sports world, we just came out with our jogging suits and team issued shoes. Yeah. That's all I was just worried about wearing,
Yeah.
But
T-Rich had what they call nowadays drip.
Drip.
Oh, yeah, that's what
drip.
they call it.
He had a drip, man. Yeah. He had swag. He had a swag. Yeah.
He absolutely did. Okay, so you played for Clyde Ellis in football there, who kind of, we talked about being a little bit of an intimidating factor. He would let you know how he felt about things. Then he played for Bob Simmons. I mean, it was his way. You knew who was the boss, right?
Absolutely.
I would imagine that in your coaching career there at John Marshall, that you don't have a whole lot of sympathy for kids that are kind of soft, right?
None at all. I got to tell them, I got to remind them that this is. You can't be soft. If you're playing sports, I mean, if you're a competitor, you can't be soft. There's no room for softness. There is, I mean, you gotta bring your A game every day, even in practice. And so, I coach right now at Jones High School basketball. Yeah. And so we have some good guys that, one of our motto is being tougher than the other team, and emotionally, physically, and mentally. And so, but, man, just playing with Coach Ellis and Coach Simmons, those two guys, it was their way or the highway, And so he gave me a scholarship. Yeah. Hey, that's all I can do. Yeah. I can just block the hell out of some DBs if I don't get the ball. So, yep. Yeah, and
catch touchdown passes against OU, right?
That's it.
So what kind of relationship do you have with Bob Simmons?
During that time at OState, it was just a hey, what's up, coach? How you doing? I never was really the kind of guy to just go into his office and just hang with him or anything like that. It was just, hey, coach, what's up? How you doing? And of course, when I became captain, we interacted a little bit more because we talked about, coin toss and flips, and all this stuff. And just talking about the logistics of the games and stuff like that. And, he would ask me about the team morale and stuff like that. And just small talk here and there, but nothing really extensive where he was one of the mentors or anything like that. Richard Wilson, my receivers coach, he was one of the guys that he had a close bond with myself and all the receivers. And he was one of the guys that, he helped me with business after I graduated. And he was one of those guys that just stayed in my corner and uplifted us and showed us a lot too. Of course, he taught us how to play receiver in college, but he was one of the great coaches and great mentors coming out of OState. So.
Man, what do you remember about that 1998 game at Arrowhead against Nebraska?
Oh, man.
It was just, I think they were ranked like number 1 or 2, and it was on national TV, and it looked like we were going to win the whole game, and we didn't.
We didn't. So funny story. I don't know if anybody's ever told you about. So I caught the ball getting down to the 1 yard line. And so we call a timeout, I believe, and we were in the huddle. And I don't know, Joe told me this story. He says, Coach, they're running the clock. The clock is going. So we run to the line of scrimmage, but we're missing a lineman. We're missing a left tackle. And so we ran the play so quickly that wherever we were missing that left tackle or left guard, one of the two, that guy made the play and stopped Nathan Simmons in the backfield. So he made the tackle. So we were a man short on offense coming out of that timeout. And so we were a guy short. And so that's how we lost the game. But it was a close game. It was a hard fought game. And that's kind of what happened.
All right. So you got indoctrinated real fast into college football. Your very first game, I see that giggle there.
Yes,
your very first game at Oklahoma State ever was the home opener on ESPN against Nebraska. And we lost 217-0.
That's about right. That sounds about right. Oh man, that was coming out of high school. My coaches to this day, I tell athletes, when you get to college, there are guys that are good as you are or better. Okay. Of course, the whole Nebraska team was better than we were. So as like you said, my first college game coming out of high school. First game, ESPN at our stadium, and we got obliterated. we got obliterated, and it was hard to watch. Had Lawrence Phillips in the backfield. I think Tommy Frazier was a quarterback. I think they ended up putting somebody else in. I want to say Frost or whoever was behind him.
Whoever was good.
It didn't matter. Yeah, it didn't matter. We played against, Monte Rager. You had Grant Windstrom, and you had all those dudes that were phenomenal. I think half the team went to the NFL. What was the guy's name? He was a Mike Mentor. He was a strong safety.
Yeah,
he knocked the hell out of me. I thought I had a little quick out route. Man, the ball hit me, and then he hit me. So the ball popped out, and I did get one crackback block on.
Oh, nice!
It was on ESPN. They played it over and over again, and that's my claim to fame in that game. Tony Jones scrambled, got around the left side, and I was out for a pass, so I came back and took him off his feet. Decleater.
You got to play with two different quarterbacks while you're at Oklahoma State. Tony Jones, who's been described as a natural leader, and then Tony Lindsay, who got mentored by Tony Jones and really brought in a lot of excitement, very cerebral type guy. So talk about those two, what you remember about them.
Yeah. Tony Jones he was a natural leader, and he was very great at mentoring to us and talking to us, and just letting us know what we need to do, how we need to prepare for the future, prepare to be a better college player, just the mentality of it all and stuff like that. And when he threw it to you, you have to make a play. But during the during the off season, he was always talking us up and just being there. If we needed him, we could call him and say, "Hey, Tony, what's up, man? I'm in trouble, or I'm doing this, or I'm here, I'm there. Can you pick me up?" or whatever. He was always there. He was a great team leader. Tony Lindsay, and he, like you said, he was very cerebral. He was very just a very humble, down to earth kid that didn't talk a lot, but he's a great athlete.
Yeah,
I played basketball with him in the off season and stuff like that. But great athlete. He could have been a receiver if you wanted to. So, but he was a great athlete. And I enjoyed playing with both of them. I enjoyed playing with both of them because they were both great leaders in their own way. To be a quarterback of a Division I college it speaks for itself. You have to be some type of leader to lead a D1 program in football, or in any sport. So both great leaders.
Do you remember Alonzo at Douglas at all? Did you guys? Did you have any?
Yeah. We played. So he was a couple of years older, I think 2 years older than us. But of course, John Marshall played Douglas in Millwood, and that inner city rivalry. But he was a beast, man. Oh. He was him and Chris. I think it's Chris Lofton. Yeah. Chris. Yeah.
Chris Lofton.
Chris. Yeah. Those two dudes, man. They were. Chris had broken his neck by the time we got there. And that's where he wore that halo. But those guys, Alonzo and Chris, were pretty great athletes coming out of Douglas High School. So yeah,
absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about Coach Gundy. Let's talk about this year's team. Of course, you still pay attention to Oklahoma State football. You've gotten to coach with Rashawn Woods. I know we talked about Alonzo Mays. He's actually the defensive coordinator at John Marshall right now, so that's pretty cool. So tell us what you think about the situation at hand. We know we're going to have new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. Tell us what your thoughts about where Coach Gundy and where Oklahoma State football is at right now.
Oh man, it was pretty. I'm always proud to be a Cowboy, but of course the season was a little embarrassing for us, and you can't. It's kind of a touchy subject because I know and train some of the kids that play for OState, and you can't say some. I hear critics saying that their hearts aren't in it or stuff like that, and kids don't just go out there and just don't play for don't just get out there and don't play, but we didn't, were we last in Big 12 last?
Yeah. But we went 0-9.
So for me, it was just embarrassing. I'm not a coaching guru. I can't say what's being done or being said in practice or the schemes that they're running. I just know, from the outside looking in, it's easy to judge and comment. But you never know what's going on behind the scenes. And that's the same with high school football. You never know why a kid's not playing or why a play is not working. On the outside, it looks like a receiver ran the wrong route. but on the inside, the quarterback made the wrong throw.
Sure.
So it's stuff like that. So, it's easier to coach from the sidelines than it is to be in the game. So I have much respect to all those coaches that are there at that level. They're there for a reason. Sometimes players and systems don't mesh well enough, and you have those 0-9 seasons in district, in conference play, and so I respect Coach Gundy. He was the quarterback's coach when I was there.
Yeah.
But I respect him. He's one of the best coaches that in OSU history, as far as numbers are concerned. So that, 18 straight winning seasons, and it hadn't been done before at OState. Yeah. So not much you can complain about. You can, but it doesn't matter. I mean, so yeah.
Absolutely. So, hey, fill us in on what Sean Love has been doing. I know you mentioned you played in the Arena Football League for Tulsa there for a bit, but what has Sean Love been doing since we've been watching him catch touchdown passes in front of Mike Woods to beat OU between then and now?
Well, between then and now, I got into coaching as soon as I graduated. So Andy Bogert, I know you pretty prominent name in football and golf, and he was my offensive coordinator at John Marshall. And so when he went to Heritage Hall, he would ask me to come back to work with some of those athletes. One of those athletes was Wes Welker. And so I got to train and work Coach Wes Welker out before he became the dude that he was. So, but just getting back on the field and working and coaching with him, and also coach with, Coach John Marshall off and on for several years. As far as graduating from college, I graduated with a graphic design degree, and I've used that for so many businesses, and I still use it to this day. I currently work at Tinker Air Force Base as a program analyst or a funds management specialist.
Nice.
But I also coach on the side. So I've always held a main job, but I've also always coached outside of that. I have a few businesses. I run each year I host a middle school basketball all-star game, and it's called Super 16 All-Stars. And this year will be our 8th year doing it. And so we go out and we have combines, and we select the best 8th, 7th, and 8th grade boys and girls athletes across the state of Oklahoma. And we bring them together, the top 20 in each class, and let them ball out. And some of the notable names you may know is Trey Alexander, who's in the NBA now. You got Aaliyah Moore in Texas, playing for Texas now. The Van girls Zaya Van is playing at OU now. Staley Hurd, who's at Oklahoma State. Micah Gray, who's at Oklahoma State. And so we've had a long history of kids coming from that event, going to high school, making a name for themselves and getting to the next level. And also I have a podcast. So if you see over my right shoulder, I have Recruit Oklahoma.
Nice.
And so that was a business I started last year to help the movement of getting more athletes in Oklahoma recruited.
Yeah.
And so I have a podcast that I have recorded and interviewed. Just like you're doing with Oklahoma State guys or athletes, I do it with Oklahoma athletes. And so I've interviewed, Coach Griffin. I've interviewed Leroy Combs, who came out of Star Spencer, four state championships. Charles Thompson out of Lawton, went to OU. And
need to get Matt Clark on.
I need to get him on. Yeah. So
I had him on the other day. In fact, I released his interview today. It was awesome.
Okay. Yeah. I'll get with you to get some contacts, but that's one. Rock Podcast is what it is, and but that's what I've been doing as far as, my home life, my personal life. As far as my kid, I've been married over 20 years now to my wife, who I met at Oklahoma State. So that's a blessing, and
that was the big prize.
Yes. And had my first child there as well. So, getting married there, and while attending Oklahoma State. So I have three children. My oldest one, he received a scholarship to play at West Point, Army West Point.
Well, congratulations. Wow.
Yeah. Well, thank you. But he got injured. He had some concussions and stuff like that. So he ended up coming back. So he graduated from Oklahoma State with a bachelor's. And went to Tennessee State to get a master's. And my second son received a scholarship to play at the Naval Academy. So he played it at the Navy. Wow. So he just graduated in May. And my daughter, she's the third of the crew. And she just finished her first semester playing softball at Southwestern Christian University. Wow. So proud to say I'm 3 for 3 with scholarships. So yeah, that was, I mean, just a blessing. I mean, yeah, my wife with her, she's the brains of the bunch. That's why my son and my first two sons got into the military academies. So, but you know, I supplied the athletic ability and she supplied the brains, and we made some pretty good human beings.
Yeah. So I got to ask you on the way out of here. I know that you're hard on the two boys. I know they were not going to be soft, right?
No, not at all.
But did we spoil the daughter?
Man, sorry. Yeah. I was a little softer on her, but I had to back. Yeah, coach girls different, a little different, man. But I was hard on her at times, and mom had to back me off a few times. But it's one of those deals, that competitor in me. Oh yeah. But she learned a lot from her brothers. Watching them play and how competitive they were, and she allowed her brothers to coach her more than I was able to coach her, and so they gave her a lot of input. They gave her a lot of what I instilled in them. They related on to her, and so it was kind of a joint effort. And so, but it was all love, and we're all good, you know. So yeah.
Sean Love, that is absolutely awesome. This has been such a wonderful honor to get to speak with you. I've taken a lot of your time, so this is so gracious of you, my man.
I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for contacting me. Yeah.
Despite the fact that you did move from Guthrie. So
I'm sorry. I still got family there. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, Sean Love, thank you so much.
Take care.